Hey everyone, my name is Charlie and this is it. This is the final round to decide which book is my favourite book of the last 4 years on BookTube. We have our final 8 books, which are The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton, The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton, Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson, The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon, Lilian Boxfish Takes a Walk by Kathleen Rooney, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, and After Many Days by Jowhor, and The Museum of Innocence by Orhan Pamuk. All of the books have been added into the same mug, so the years no longer matter. This is our top 8 and they will be competing against each other to be named my favourite book. And the first book here will be The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon, and After Many Days by Jowhor. I read The Trouble with Goats and Sheep in 2016 and it fast became one of my favourite books, and I often call it a book for me. This focuses a microscope on a microcosm of society and discusses loads of great topics, reminds me of Alan Bennett in the way that it's written, and is simply glorious and is a book that I wish I had written. And After Many Days by Jowhor, strangely enough, has a similar plot in the form of this missing person, but also follows uncertainty. Both of them I adore for different reasons. This one's incredibly lyrical. This one, as I say, is comical and has darkness hidden beneath the comedy. Sadly, whilst both of these books could be my favourite book of the last 4 years, on this occasion I'm sending home and After Many Days, which means that The Trouble with Goats and Sheep is moving on to the final round. Next we have Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry against Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. On this occasion, I think that Furiously Happy, you've come incredibly far, and I appreciate everything you've done for me in the last 4 years, but I'm afraid you've not made it. I'm sending you home. Now sashay away. Right, Lonesome Dove. Next, the Luminaries will face off against Lilian Boxfish Takes a Walk. The Luminaries, whilst you are definitely illuminating, on this occasion your light was simply too dim. I'm sorry, my dear, but I'm sending you home. Lilian Boxfish Takes a Walk. Shantae, you stay. I hope you're all appreciating the RuPaul references right now, because they're on my mind. Which I think brings us to our final 2 books, The Miniaturist against Museum of Innocence. Both of these books are strangely about, like, this is a museum, this is a miniature house, but like they're both about collections and like this collection imitating art in some way, and one being representative of a life that's happening and one that's being representative of a life and a love that has long since passed. So The Museum of Innocence. On this occasion you left us feeling guilty of despair. I'm sorry, my dear, but you're up for elimination. Now, sashay away. Which leaves us with The Miniaturist, and, you know, there we go. Okay, so this has left us with our top 4 books of the last 4 years. Lilian Boxfish Takes a Walk, The Miniaturist, The Trouble with Goats and Sheep, and Lonesome Dove. 2017, clearly a good year. I feel like there's 2 books here that wouldn't make it into the top 2 today, and I feel like I know what the top 2 books are, but I'm kind of conflicted because there's definitely a top 3 in my head. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to this mug method and see just how, just what ends up being our top 2. Lilian Boxfish Takes a Walk by Kathleen Rooney going up against The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. This is the book that I didn't think would make it into a top 3, so honestly I'm amazed it actually got this far. But Jessie Burton is a writer whose story I think is fascinating. The anticipation for this book was real when it came out, and I do still adore Jessie Burton's writing. But, you know, you like the Naomi Smalls in this competition. Sorry about it. One book into our top 2 already. So now we have The Trouble with Goats and Sheep facing off against Lonesome Dove. And strangely enough, this was like the top 2 that I envisaged. So the fact that I've got to say goodbye to one of them now is difficult. But I feel like I've always been a bit biased towards one book above the other. So today, I will be saying goodbye to Lonesome Dove. It shall forever linger on my shelf as being the number... yeah. So, you made it this far. Lonesome Dove made it this far. Let's just be happy about that and just know that it's definitely one of my favourites. Which leaves us with our top 2 of The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Catton and Lilian Boxfish Takes a Walk by Kathleen Rooney. And my favourite book of the last 4 years on BookTube should come as no surprise to anybody, because that book is The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Catton. When I first read this, I remember being completely in awe of Joanna Catton's writing. There is nostalgia within this book, but it never feels twee, and it never feels forced, and it did remind me of Alan Bennett and all of the things that I adore within literature. This isn't a surprise to me really, but as a whole, the entire business of going about which book I preferred over others, I mean, if anything, it's giving me a top 40 and it's actually ranked them now. So yeah, if you want a proper ranking of all the books, then feel free to go back through all these videos. I recommend that you all go out and you read what is definitely a Charlie book. There we go. I now have to go and put all of these books back on my shelves. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I feel a bit like I did when Manila went home about Lonesome Dove, but still, there we go. If you would have made some different decisions than I did, then please feel free to let me know what they would have been in the comments. I hope that you have enjoyed this series of videos to discover my favourite book since I joined BookTube. And until next time, that is all.